Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kendra. Hi, Miranda.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Good. Freezing, but good. How are you?
Same. I'm so over this. April's in Texas. We have like snow all day. Yesterday and the day before was like high 60s. It was like a taste of spring, and it's like snowing buckets and just cold. It's just
Well, we're already in summer. It's supposed to be 92 today.
oh good. I'm going there next week to spend a few days with April. So it's gonna be like the biggest switch ever. I need to get a spray tan to come. Can you get a spray tan pregnant? Does anybody know? Kendra's saying yes. I honestly don't even know, but otherwise you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that white skin is awful.
You can, but look at the ingredients, right? With anything.
Yeah.
But the one in Cherry Creek, that place is like all organic. It's like beta carotene and stuff like that.
Go for it.
Okay, so there's one person I know for sure that might be struggling with this time after like we kind of selected it. So there's 10 of you. There should be 9 on. Courtney, you want to ping Jen and just tell her we're on in case
I sure will.
Thank you. Courtney and Jen are friends. I was like, that's the one. Brooke Hanks, you guys will see her in the chat. She's a realtor and she is signed up through Keller Williams with some continuing education at this exact same time. It was like literally the only time, but I did it on the majority. I was like, I've got like 7 people that picked this slot, you know, so I know she'll be in the recordings and she's going to try and like juggle some things to make it work. But otherwise, I'm so glad that this worked out. There you are, Jen.
There she is.
Sorry.
No, don't be. I was like,
this morning. Sorry.
On here.
That's me.
Ellie, I don't know where you are, but if you're able to turn on your video, it's always super fun and we can kind of get to know each other, but don't if you're driving or whatnot. And Emily Sutherland, I know she's got 2 little kids at home and sometimes there's a sitter at this time, sometimes not. So just, it's life, right? We're working women and flexible schedules. And I appreciate you guys just kind of accommodating. I know when I'm marketing it, it's like, when are we meeting? I'm like, I don't know. Like, you know, the last 10 week we were at 7 o'clock at night and that's just what worked for everybody. So I'm excited to be on the daytime hours. I definitely am in my prime before it gets dark out. Then I'm like I don't even know, I'm like in a comatose these days by the time it's dark. So I appreciate it, but I did try to send out the reminder. And if you guys have questions, let me know. But the Enneagram, we are going to talk about through this. It's something I believe so strongly in, and it helps me understand what drives you, what shuts you down, what motivates you, how to communicate with you. Same with the color code. I like everything in UpCoach because it's in one spot. When people start texting and emailing it, then we're like, where did that go? So you should all have had an invitation to UpCoach. And then when you go there and you like click on, it says activated achieving like spring 2023. And there's a button that says drive. And then you can just like upload it right there. And if you have questions, I can walk you through it. The part that I don't love about this platform that I've got to try to figure out is like, if I put a task in there for like a one-on-one client, it shows up for everybody, but I was like, well, that's fine. They can like start to see like the habits. But I know Kathy just asked me and she said, hey, like I saw the survey in there. Do you want me to fill this out? Like that was given out to everybody who just completed, you know, so I have to call them and figure out how to compartmentalize that. But if you just log in, click on that and it says drive and there's a button that says upload, then if you save your results, you can upload it. So I have about half of them in there. And if you can just get around to it. And if you have any questions, let me know and I'll do like a little video record of the whole thing and send it out to you. So that being said, and I want to honor all of your guys' time, we're just going to dive right into things. Okay. Can you all see the slides? Are you looking at the welcome one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you for confirming that. You guys, I teach at NTI and sometimes I have like the wrong thing up and I'll be like 10 minutes into the lecture and they're like, we're looking at something different. I'm like, why are you just not telling me this, you know?
Oops.
So I actually want to kick things off with a little bit of intros. And you guys, I apologize if some of your pictures are bigger and some of them are smaller. PowerPoint just did this. I just put the pictures on there and they made it really cute. But I'm going to call you out and literally super short. But I just want you guys to have a chance to meet each other. Like 30 seconds, maybe like where you're from, what do you do? If you do know your color code or your Enneagram, I would love for you to tell it to me now, but literally like less than a minute for each of these, or we'll be at 11:30 before we even know it. So Jen, I'm going to start with you, girl.
All right. Hi, my name is Jen. I grew up in Southern California, but I've lived here for a while, since 2006. And I've done orthopedic surgery for the last probably 20 years, and just recently, within the year, opened my own med spa in Lone Tree. So specifically doing Botox fillers, a little bit of a skincare line, but pretty limited, trying to keep it more to the medical
Right, baby.
genre.
I love you. Where do you live? What do you do? And then your color code and your Enneagram. So
Oh,
Jen lives in
blue
Denver.
and
She's a med
blue,
spa
blue
owner.
and 6.
What was it?
Blue and 6. Blue
Blue
and
and
6.
6. Okay, awesome. All right, Miss Kathy, your turn. And if you don't have the Enneagram or color code, don't worry about it.
Okay, my name's Kathy McCarty. I'm calling in from the Colorado Front Range. I am an advocate and educator of meth toxins awareness. That's meth as in methamphetamine. And I am looking, let's see, my color codes were really a combination of blue and white. So I never really dived deep to know if which one is more intense than the other. And I'm looking at my Enneagram, and I guess the number 1 is the bigger piece of the pie, but I haven't dived deep into knowing what that means yet. So
Don't worry, I got you. That does not surprise me one bit about you, actually. All right, Miss Kendra, where do you live? What do you do? And what are your colors and Enneagram?
All right, I live in Aurora, Colorado. I'm a native. I am an estate planning attorney, so helping families protect their legacy. And then very, very true to the stats, I am a blue 6.
6 is the most popular Enneagram, just so you guys know. Callie.
Hi, I'm Callie. I live in Lakewood, Colorado. I'm from Chicago, though. And I work with energy and frequency medicine, and my color is blue, and my number, or the Enneagram, is 3.
Awesome. 6 is the loyalist. 3 is the achiever, just so you guys know, and the 1 is the reformer. So Kathy's a like rule follower. Callie's like an overachiever, and the 6 are like all about community and relationships. Brooke's not here, you guys, but she's a realtor with Keller Williams, and I have no idea what her color codes and Enneagram are. I could guess, but I don't know. So moving on to you, Miss Courtney.
Okay, I am Courtney Belknap. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker. I'm from Michigan and live in Castle Rock. I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom. My color is blue. And then I have not taken the other test yet. I'll do that after we get off the call.
Okay, awesome. Em, are you there? Are you with kiddos?
No,
Right
I'm
now,
here.
my kids are at school. Thank God.
Oh,
I'm here for the next few minutes, and then
Cool.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I'm so sorry.
oh no. Sorry. Yep. Nope. I got the blue and the Enneagram. I just moved on to Emily Sutherland.
No worries. Hi, I'm Emily Sutherland. I live down here in the Castle Rock area as well. And I have been, I'm a master nutritional therapist. I am a lifestyle coach and holistic sexual healer. I am a 7, and I am a yellow.
Yellows are fun, and 7s are the enthusiasts. They're like adrenaline seekers. They're the adventure, go-getter, positive people. Miss April. You're muted, love. You're muted, baby. We can't hear you.
Okay. April Braun from Austin, Texas. I am a nutrition therapist and work with a lot of foundations as well. And I am a yellow and 9.
Awesome. 9 is the peacemaker. So April wants everybody to get along all the time. Chelsea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chelsea Spangler. I live in Vail, Colorado. I am currently a nanny, and I do network marketing. And then I am a white and a number 7.
Whites are super analytical, and we chatted about the 7s. Miranda, you've been.
Morning. Excuse me. I'm Miranda Meyer. I'm also in Denver in the tech center area. I am a functional nutritionist, and I am a blue and apparently a 7. I took like 3 tests because at first I didn't believe it, but I kept getting 7.
And I think with the exception of Brooke, did I miss anybody? Did anybody not have a chance to introduce themselves? Okay, just making sure somehow I didn't on the Zoom screen skip somebody. You guys, I'm a red and I'm an 8, which if you learn anything about this is the irony of just like these situations. Reds are really bossy. They're commanding, they often are in leadership, and the same with 8s. 8's the commander. The ability to just like get stuff done is like really characteristic of an 8. So this helps me a lot. I love that we already dove into that. So I'm going to actually throw you guys right into an icebreaker because I want to just get any nerves out, any excitement out. And part of the way that you're really going to grow in this course is working with each other. And that's because you learn from each other. You get to share ideas, you get to bounce ideas off of each other, you get to network with each other. And I truly believe that the circle of influence has so much to do with your success, right? People have been there, people know other people, which is, you'll see there's always going to be some mini breakout sessions because from this class, you all can continue to support one another and refer one another. So I'm going to put you into some mini breakout rooms. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. And the question that I want you to discuss is if you could have dinner with 5 famous people, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Okay, so you guys are randomly going to go into the breakout rooms and just chat amongst the people in your room. If you can have dinner with 5 famous people, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Okay, so let me go ahead and put you guys in your room. You guys all back?
I think so.
Anybody want to share who you want to have dinner with?
My main one was Jesus.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Nice.
I didn't have
What else?
5.
Who
though.
else do you guys want to have dinner with?
It was
I
hard to come up with 5, but we said the Obamas as well, both of them.
Awesome. Really good. It's interesting. I ask people this, and sometimes I'll get things like real deep, like Maya Angelou or like Brene Brown. But then some people, and this is really indicative, you guys are the blues. So this does not surprise me that there's like these warm, like you want to have these like deep hearted community like chats. But a lot of the yellows will pick people funny. Like they want to hang out with like Eddie Murphy or like, and just laugh or, you know, like see a concert or whatnot. So those are great questions you can always ask if you go to a networking thing, you know, like, oh my gosh, who's going to talk first? But I always just love so you guys can kind of get to know each other. So let me go back and just share the screen here with the slides and we'll keep going. Are you back looking at that icebreaker slide?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things, I have an entire workbook for this course, but I upload for you guys 1 week at a time, or I'll email that out with the recording, the PDF, mostly because I don't want you to get ahead or I don't want you to be overwhelmed. And I just want you to be able to apply what we talk about in the course into the workbook, you know, throughout the week. But in each workbook is what I call the swag, right? And it's basically for you to do a little bit of reflection on what's your struggle currently in your business or for the week, something that's come up. What's a win? What's something you want to celebrate? Because we always want to really focus on the things that we're doing really, really well. What is an ask? What's an area that you need help? And then what's a goal that you have? And we'll really kick off each week with, I'll just say, anyone want to share their swag and someone can jump out. But so for example, right now, if I were to say, you know, what's a struggle that I'm having in my business? I might say getting people to in-person events. You know, ever since COVID, people want to hang out online and in Zoom, and it just seems to be a struggle to get people to drive or like show up to something, whether it's a networking event, it's a training, it's anything. And I would, you know, wanting to be kind of figuring out some things around that. A win might be, you know, that we sold out this course, or a win was that, you know, I'm speaking for the UK for my company. An ask is, what are you doing to promote the events? Or, you know, hey, what do you do for your newsletter to keep them fresh and keep them, you know, really exciting right now? And then a goal might say, hey, I've got a bonus that I'm working for with my company and the deadline's the end of this month. Right? And so you guys are going to have the opportunity to do this within your workbook. But I do want some takeaways and shares at the beginning of each week because it holds us accountable, but it also creates some relationship that you go, oh my gosh, I'm not the only person struggling with that. And you can utilize the people in this class to really help you. So it will be surprising. Sometimes you're asked, someone else like, oh my gosh, I've got you. I know exactly how to help right now. That we're going to kind of go through that, but I wanted you to see what that looks like. So I want to just take you back. Some of you actually, Miranda specifically, knew me in this wild life that I used to live. Some of you have no idea who I was then, but it's a lot of the experiences that I've learned that I wish I knew then, which is where the impetus and the drive of this class really came from. So a lot of these pictures are from like 10 to 15 years ago. But I basically went from high school to college. I just was like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to school, because I kept thinking that if I got all the degrees, I would make a lot of money. And that is not what happened. So I have 2 bachelors and 2 masters. And at 30 years old, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week in various jobs. And I had about 100 grand in student loan debt and some credit card debt because I didn't know what I was doing. And I just thought, oh, no matter what I charge, my minimum payment is the same. So I was so upside down financially. But I came out of school. Yeah, you guys laugh because you can totally relate to that. So I came out of school carrying all this debt, and I chose jobs that were really, really low paying. So I ran these boot camp classes. I had a private practice as a nutritionist. I worked in a health food store trying to get experience because I was nervous to do it on my own. I was personal training, I was bartending, I was waiting tables, and I ran around like a chicken with its head cut off. And in the midst of like having 0 time management skills, I had no idea of what I should be doing in terms of marketing myself, really having any type of income producing activities. I just kind of thought, like, if I work harder, I'll make money. Like, I just have to work harder. And if I outworked anybody and I just kept working, things would get better. And ultimately that was never going to be the case, because I led to extreme burnout. You know, I didn't like anything I was doing. I was stressed out of my mind, super unhappy, and really decided that I had to do some things differently. But I share this with you because that's ultimately then where I was able to learn some of the things which I teach so much today to a lot of entrepreneurs, which is the foundations of this class. So when I fast forward and things that I'm doing today, and people say, well, who are you and what do you do? And how do you feel like you're qualified to be able to help people? I really learned the skill set. And so if you've never heard the expression, slow down to speed up, that's ultimately what I had to do. And it not only changed my physical health, it changed my sleep, it changed my energy, my work balance life. I wrote a book, I started speaking, but I was able to tap into a lot of the skill sets that I have. And instead of just funneling myself into one kind of avenue of like, this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is the trajectory I'm on, to say, I have a lot of different things and I can do more than one thing. So where I'm with a health and wellness company and I get to do all the things around health and wellness that I've always loved to do, the speaking is something totally different. And I didn't realize that was a way to diversify my income. And that was a paid opportunity. You know, I did a TED Talk because it was a bucket list item. If anyone wants to watch it, you're welcome to. It's heavy. It's about my dad and his end of life experience. But I always said I was going to do it, you know, and I want to just put these out there because one of the things that I love to do when I work with female entrepreneurs is get you to dream big and just take this ceiling off of like, this is as far as I can go, or this is what I was told I was able to do. And some of that belief and some of that growth happened with my network marketing business. So all of you, most of you know, I partnered with Isagenix almost 10 years ago. I have a team of over 25,000 people. So when it comes to learning different personalities and motivating people and organizing a team, that is applicable to any business. And so I want to take this skill set of the young little girl who was fresh out of school that knew nothing about an ideal client avatar, about marketing myself, about time management, about financial management, and where we are today, to say my number one focus is to see women win. I want to stand on a chair louder than anybody else and really empower entrepreneurs. And what I have seen over the last 10 or 15 years is so many women have an incredible service like incredible craft, but they lack the business acumen, whether it comes from selling, it comes from marketing themselves, it comes with building relationships. And that's really the goal and the focus over the next 10 weeks of working together. So today's class is all about your why and establishing your core values. And I am a huge, huge, huge advocate of vision boards, right? Like if you don't know where you're going, nobody else knows where you're going either. And we can talk about things. We can tell people like, oh, I have this goal, or, you know, I want to be able to take my family to Greece, or I'm going to have an investment property in a couple years. But actually doing the like pen to paper work and activating your psychoneuro learning is huge. Having something that activates your reticular activating system, part of your brain, that you see it every single day, that you start to tap into things that subconsciously you think different, you feel different, you act different. is huge. So the very first time I was encouraged to make a vision board, I remember telling my mentor, I said, are you nuts? Like, you want me to cut out a bunch of pictures with the time I don't have and look at it every single day and like, kumbaya, my life is going to change. And she was like, yep. And I was like, you're the weirdest person I've ever met in my life, you know? And I did this board with so much resistance. And by the end of the year, and it was time to do another one, I was in tears at how many things had come true. Like, I really had never gone back and looked at it clearly, even though I looked at it every single day because it was directly in front of where I sat. But if you don't know the reticular activating system, that's a part of your brain, but it's why, like, when you're looking for a car, you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy the new Hyundai Elantra. And suddenly you see it everywhere, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, everybody's driving a Hyundai Elantra. And it's not. It's just that you've planted the seed to say, this is what I am focused on, right? And so the brain has to filter through everything that it does every single day and keeps you looking towards that. So when we talk about your why, that's behind all of these things. You can put on a vision board all the luxury bags, all of the trips, all of, you know, the goals that you want to hit, whatever that impact looks like to you. But if there's not meaning behind it, you're going to hit a dead end right away. So I always talk about this because with the vision and with the clarity, you're going to understand the why, what drives you, what gets you out of bed, what pushes you through those wall kicking moments, what keeps you bulletproof, what keeps you inspired. And so this is actually my vision board of 2023. So I made this around the week of Christmas, shortly after my embryo transfer. Many of you know that I went through IVF. And just to be so clear on what this year is. And as I was doing it, it was interesting just in 12 months, how many things I was taking down that were successful in the process and now into our new home that we purchased at the end of December, that I would, if you have not done a vision board, I cannot encourage you enough to do one. Like, that would be one of your first signs of homework. And people do them digitally on the back of their phones. Mine is this, and I'm looking at it right now. It's a bullet, like a cork board, right? And I have everything kind of in front of me in my office, but to really allow yourself to dream big, you know, and go for things maybe in the short term and then go for things in the long term as well. So today, when we talk about defining your why and establishing your core value compass, the why is what you do, and the core value is going to help you make decisions. So that why, which is the reason you get out of bed every single day, you know, every single one of you is self-employed. Every single one of you is the CEO of your own business. That if you can't recruit yourself, you're not going to recruit other people, right? And if you can't recruit yourself, other people are not going to hire you. So what excites you? What makes you want to put a post up on social media? What makes you want to go to a networking event and meet clients? What makes you want to show up for yourself in your business instead of working as an employee for somebody else is really, really important. And it's that burning desire that will keep you fired up, that keep you dreaming big. So week after week, month after month, year after year, it's that purpose that says, I was made for something more. I was called to do this. It's what's going to keep you from that burnout and keep that excitement. I believe it's the foundation of all of your decisions. It's definitely the fuel through the ups and downs. So if anyone has ever said entrepreneur looks like this, like it's just this straight line up, they lied to you, okay? It will always be like this, and you're gonna have a great season and a crappy season. You're gonna have an amazing client and then you're gonna have a pain in the butt client. Like, it will always kind of be like this, but your why, people can't take that away from you. So in the celebratory moments, that's what you get to tap into. And in the wall kicking moments, you get to put your, you know, big girl pants back on and say, hey, I'm redirecting. This isn't rejection. I get to, you know, get back to what I want to do and tap into that I'm in business for myself. And your brand doesn't have an identity without a why. So if you guys have never seen the Simon Sinek training, it starts with why. He also authored that book. It's like one of the most famous TED Talks out there. He gives this comparison of basically Apple and IBM and why people are so drawn to Apple. And it has nothing to do with like the speed of the processor and all of like the facts of the computer, but it's about the user experience. And he really talks about how people buy why you do something more than what you have. And when you really can get clear on this, this is something that will set you apart and distinguish you from other people in your field. So your why is your purpose, cause, or belief. The how is then how you bring those actions into your life. And then the what is what you're doing actually every single day. So if I were to think about Jen, you know, in this med spa owner, and it's easy to tell people like, what do you do? Right. And she's like, oh, I do Botox, or I do fillers, or, you know, I, you know, have this medical background and I'm doing, you know, aesthetics and et cetera, et cetera. That's all the what. And like most people are going to just like, right, type of thing. Or even the how. It's like, okay, well, I was a physician's assistant and I, you know, have this, you know, training. I was a surgeon, worked with surgeons, and these things that start to edify her. Okay, she's a little bit behind, but when she can share her why, and I'm putting words in her mouth. I'm not saying that she shared this. It's just with her intro, you guys know who she is. If her why was, you know, I worked for all these other doctors and I was never making the impact that I wanted to. And there are so many women out there that have XYZ, and my greatest purpose is to be able to serve them. How do I do this? What does it look like? And you reverse engineer it. And Kendra has a really similar one, right? I mean, I'm just going to put words in her mouth, but she could go through the logistics of what it looks like to be an estate attorney. She can go through the how of that. But if you go to her website, I encourage you to. She has a beautiful website, but it's right there. And it's like her own personal experience of family and how she wants to now create impact and help other people's families be prepared because of some of the experiences she's had. People get right into that. There's a ton of estate attorneys out there, but the why is what starts to set you apart. So when you think about defining it, and you guys are not going to do this morning, right? I hope that you come with some clarity over the next week, but it's really that if you don't understand the purpose and passion behind your business, how are you supposed to effectively sell what you do? Right? I mean, that is the number one thing that's going to set you apart. And it's what builds those relationships. What makes people want to hire you, wants to promote you, wants to refer you. Your clients are going to feel connected way more to why you do something than what you offer. So when you're thinking about creating that foundation, start to ask yourself some questions, right? And some of these are really simple, but if I were to ask you right now, I promise you couldn't answer them, right? Because we don't slow down to really know. So why are you in business? Why did you choose this industry? Of all the things that you could do, right? Like, why did you choose this? What lights you up and energizes you? You guys, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, exhausted because I didn't want to do any of it. But I didn't understand that, right? I just thought this was the way it was supposed to do. There are times people would argue I have still worked 80 to 100 hours a week, and it never feels like that because I'm obsessed with what I do. I love what I do. What's the legacy you want to leave? Like, how do you want to be remembered, right? We're not showing up every single day just to make a paycheck. If you're in business for yourself and as an entrepreneur, there's a reason, there's something that you want to do that's bigger than yourself, right? Why is this line of work important to you? Whether it's medical aesthetics, it's, you know, biohacking, wellness, it's network marketing, it's functional nutrition, it's sexual healing. Like, why is that important to you? And who do you want to serve? Like, we're going to have a whole class on just identifying your ideal client avatar, but really, like, part of that why is the people that you want to make a difference for. Think about, what do you want to achieve by doing this? What fulfills you? What are the goals that you have? What are the accomplishments? What are the dreams that you have? Like, why is this the only maybe pathway for you to get there? And like, why do I love what I do? Right? If someone were to ask me as like a bartender and a server, like, why do I love what I do? The only answer that I may have ever been able to say is, man, time goes by really fast. Like that, like, that's not very deep at all, you know? But when someone says to me, like, why do I love to speak? And I can say, because I can read a room really well. And I feel like I was given a skill set and I can make an impact. And in a short period of time, shift people to be 1% better than when they showed up 30 minutes before. People are like, dang, she does love what she does. And it's true. Like, I've never gone to a speaking event being like, oh, I can't believe I have to go speak today, because I absolutely love what I get to do. So think about some of these questions as you're defining your why and go deeper, right? Like, when it comes up on the surface, go deeper. And then go deeper and keep, like, it's like the little kid that's like, but why, but why, but why? And really try to get to a reason that it gets you so excited, you feel that buzz, or you almost get a little bit emotional, because the first thing that comes up is just the top level. So I was listening to Dean Graziosi. If you guys don't know him, he's a famous influencer and like personal development speaker. And he was talking about training on the why, and someone was really challenging him. And he said, oh, because I don't ever want to be poor again, or, oh, I don't want to have the type of situations that I had as a little kid. And then they were fine. But when they actually got him to like his core, you know, and the type of dad he wanted to be and the way he wanted to show up, because he had this like absent father. I mean, he was like emotional on this podcast, but I was like, ding-a-ling-a-ling, like that's it. Like that's the reason at the core of why he's going to hustle and never wants to do things, because he wants to be this incredible father. So when you're doing it, really kind of go deep with that. And so when you really, really understand your why, it's about purpose, because it's what will make you take action. So I'll tell you, years and years and years ago, I was coaching someone. I was her personal trainer. It was when I trained at University of Denver, and she had over 100 pounds to lose, right? And in an intake form, and I said, why do you want to lose this weight? She said, oh, because I'll feel better. And I knew right away, like, this is not, that we're not going to get there, right? Like 100 pounds is a huge goal. That would take her at least a year type of thing. That I was like, why? And she was like, because I'm self-conscious when I go to work. And she would say some things like, you know, people look at me funny when I fly. And I don't want to be that person that, you know, people are looking at me strange on the airplane. But I was like, why? Like, why is all this important to you? And we finally got to it. And she said, I want to be able to jump on a trampoline with my little kids. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was like every session, and when I was pushing her or she was making nutritional choices, it was kind of like, I want you to see yourself jumping on the trampoline with your little kids. I will never forget the day I got that video texted to me of her jumping on the trampoline with her kids, and she had like hit this milestone. But it really is that difference of like, will get you into action. It will help you overcome that fear. It will allow you to spread your ideas, and it will allow people to purchase from you, seeing your authentic heart and not just some service or some product that is no distinguishment from anything else out there. So when you write it, you want it to be simple and clear. You want it to be actionable. You want it to be focused on how you contribute to others. And you want it expressed in affirmative language that resonates with you. So affirmative language is that it's positive and that it's like already happened, right? So you're not writing this in a future tense or like a lot of if or a lot of doubt. You're putting it into a phrase that affirms what you're doing so that it really is bringing it into fruition as if it already exists. In a really, really, really simple way, your why is to blank. This is how you want to contribute, so that blank is what you impact. So if I think about like my, you know, speaking, when I think about like activated achieving, I think about this course or whatever, it's like my why is to help other female entrepreneurs, you know, skip over the learning curves so that they can go out and make an incredible impact, you know, make a lot of money and feel like super confident in what they do or something. If I think about my network marketing business, is to help so many other women diversify their income, to be able to have, you know, a financial wall around their family, to have passive and residual income so that they don't worry about exchanging time for money as a stay-at-home mom, or they don't have to worry about exchanging time for money in their other business. So that's in a really short way, but play with this, and it's in your workbook, but just, this is what I do because this is who I help. And so that, and that's the impact that you really want to be able to make. So as we shift here just a little bit into the core values, that why is what drives you, that purpose and that passion, and will help you get into action. But your core values is like your North Star, right? It's the compass that helps you with decision making. It will absolutely help you build community. It will provide solution when adversity hits, and it demonstrates to your clients how much you care. All right. So often when I talk to people about your core values, some people don't even know them in their personal life, but many do personally, but not professionally. So for example, if I was talking to a woman who was single and they were on a dating app or something of that sort, and they were looking to meet someone, and I would say, you know, like, what are your must-haves or what are your deal breakers? And the deal breakers might feel like, oh, someone who has been divorced, or someone who smokes, or someone who does drugs or whatnot. Like, those would be their deal breakers. And then they might say, I need someone who's faith-based, or I need someone who lives a healthy lifestyle. I want someone who's trustworthy or close to family. And those are usually a reflection of their core values, right? Because at the core, that's what's going to be the most foundational part of the relationship. But when it comes to business, and I say, what are the core values in your business? Often it's like a blank slate, or people are like, I've never really thought about it. And your core values, these are not only what are going to guide you to the impact you want to make, they're going to keep you into integrity, but they will help you when you have difficult decisions to make. Because instead of trying to like please a client or trying to, you know, say yes to an event organizer or struggling with your time management, your core value is your personal code of conduct. And you can just kind of say like, is this in alignment or is this out of alignment with my core values? And it makes decisions much easier without the guilt because you're staying true to who you are. So your core values, they really like need to authentically define who you are and how you operate, how you behave, and how you interact on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to give you some examples here in a minute of some famous companies. But it's really you showing up in a way that people could say, you know, like Miranda's known for doing the right thing, or Callie's company brings a lot of fun, right? It's a cool place to work, or something of that you brand yourself and people know exactly what they're looking for. So when you start to identify them, there's a little flow chart of steps because many people have never done this and have no idea what to do. And if you did it a long time ago, do it now because I promise you they change, okay? But when you start to identify your core values, the first thing I want you to do is write 10 to 15 values that are important to you. Just jot them down, just brainstorm them, right? And this is in your workbook, but to say like integrity is super important, or time, you know, people being on time is really important. People following through with their word is really important, or having fun, or being selfless, or going out of your way for others, you know, education, continuing education, whatever those may be. Then once you have this list of like 10 to 15 that are important, I want you to select the most 3 or 4 that jump out. Okay, so just if I was dating someone, right? And I was like, okay, I want them to be handsome. I want someone who's into football. I want someone to have a healthy lifestyle. I want someone who has good money management skills. I want someone who's trustworthy. I want someone who loves their family. I want someone that wants to be able to travel. I want someone who wants to have kids. Like, well, I write these all down. Then the 3 to 4 that are the most important to you. And then you check in with your head, your heart, and your gut. And you say, how do these make me feel? Right? And if in the dating one, like, are they into football? I'm like, doesn't really matter, right? Like I can either watch football with somebody else, my friends, or they'll learn to love it. That's not like that big of a deal, you know? But when it's like, oh, they're trustworthy, like that lights me up. Like that's a big one, right? Just someone who has had trust issues their whole life. If they're not trustworthy, the relationship is not going to work. So you write these core values out and then you check in to be like, isn't that important to me? And some might not be. And some right away, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is at the core of what I do. And I need this to be at the forefront of the decisions that I make, the social media posts that I make, the clients that I hire, the people that I'm willing to fire. We don't really fire, but to just say, this is not a good fit, right? I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, we're so focused on getting other people to hire us, or we want, you know, to make sure that we have this pipeline of people. We forget our authentic self or our power to be able to say, nope, I don't work with everybody with a heartbeat and a pulse. And you don't align with my core values. I can recommend you to somebody, but I don't think that this is going to be the best fit, right? And that's part of you being able to step into your power of who you really want to work with. So here's a few different elements, again, of being able to write effective core values. One of them is to lead with your vision statement. So being able to just like, where do you want to go? What does the future look like? And for some of you that are brand new, you may have opened up a business within the last year. You might be looking at what does your business look like in the next year, right? You're just looking at by 2024, maybe 2025. For some of you that have been in business for a longer time, you have some experience under your way. You're starting to make a lot of shakes and moves. Kathy is one of those people. You guys, when I met Kathy a couple years ago, a year and a half ago or something, and what she was starting to do, and now she's involved with legislature here in Colorado. I mean, her course is like with continuing education, with realtors, and she's making some major legal changes here in our state. Her vision is going to be completely different, right? Because she's experienced and she's networked with some people. So lead with that. Then really keep them unique, right? So you don't have to do what's for everybody else. So like, you know, when I think about like one of my core values, it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. Okay, that's one of my core values. And that when I say that, I mean that. And I do think that that's unique. Not that other people don't have it, but if someone says that they're going to be somewhere and they don't show up, I immediately am like, where else do you do that in your life? If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're rushing to put a social media post together because it's like, oh my gosh, I just have to get it up there, instead of really adding value and quality, where else are you rushing just to get it done? You know, the email that you're sending, the newsletter that you're doing. So for me, when it's like, I want you to do your best all the time. A job not done well is not worth doing at all. That saying, that's a core value to me. That doesn't mean it has to be for April, that it has to be, you know, for Courtney. That's for me. So think about what really are unique for yourself. Then make your values simple to understand and remember. You don't want to have these things that are so complicated that you don't even remember what you came up with, right? So you know, that how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's like in alignment with integrity, you know. But another one for me, my core values is personal growth, right? I truly believe that if you stop investing in yourself, or you stop working towards the things you want, everything you don't want shows up. So personal development is at the core of what I do, not only for myself personally, but the people I'm working with. It's like, what are you doing today to make yourself a better person? These are not hard for me to remember, right? If you make them really complicated and you try to be like so out there, you won't remember them, and then they're going to be ineffective. And then allow them to evolve over time. So where you are, if you've been in business for 90 days or 180 days, it's totally different than 2 or 3 years. And that's why I said, if you haven't done this in a while, come back and reflect on it, because they might be completely different than when you did them a couple of years ago. So when we think about putting these into action, right? Number one is your team is going to feel super empowered on how you make decisions or understand how you work with them. If you are solely employed and you don't have any employees, or you don't have an assistant, or you don't have any coworkers, this crossover will be with your clients. It will also be with your family. So when we think about working for ourselves, we're not totally by ourselves because our kids know what happens when I have a work deadline, right? Our spouses know if you're pushing towards a goal. Your clients know how you communicate with them, right? So just think about the other people that are affecting your business, or your relationships are affecting them, that would be affected when you put these into action. Your core values are important at every point of your business, because it will allow you to be really confident, even when they're out of sight, right? So it's especially important when we think about like the businesses that are like virtually or remotely have become the norm, right? Because no matter who you're working with and from all over, it's those things that just allow you to stand out. You know, we're not necessarily in person. We're not necessarily getting together in the ways that we used to. And no matter where people are and who you are working with, it's a stance of what you are really aligning yourself with. So these actions can be put in place with your hiring, with your coaching, like I said, with your firing of your business. And if somebody violates a core value of yours, I mean, you have just strength to be able to say, this is not a good fit. You guys, when I first started my nutrition therapy business, I had zero self-respect. I was so desperate for income. I mean, I would have someone blow me off 3 times in a row and still be willing to see them. And I quickly learned, like, I had to have a cancellation policy in place, or I would bill them, or I wouldn't continue to work with them. But I didn't know that at 25. I mean, I was fresh out of school and just wanted to have a full calendar. But when I was able to put a core value into place, like how you do one thing is how you do everything, and thought, this person that's not honoring my time, they're not going to honor their time, or somebody else's. And if they can't even show up to an appointment, they'll never follow any of the recommendations that I give them as well. It gave me like some grit and some confidence to just say, hey, I don't think this is a good fit. There's a lot of people out there, but I want to work with people who are really serious about investing in their health. And I don't think you're that serious. So one of the things that I had on a survey, and you guys hopefully filled this out, you know, similar, when it was like, are you committed, you know, to showing up, and are you going to do this? When I would do an initial consultation, even before I first met them, was on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to your health? Anyone less than an 8, they were not pre-qualified. I said, you know what, I'm really only working with people 8s and above, and I don't think you're there yet. I'm happy to make a recommendation for someone that I think could really help you. And people, oh no, I'm a 9, right? And then they were not only at appointments, but they were there early because I was able to really authenticate who I was and value my time. So they respected me differently, but it came back to that core value of how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that's really how these kind of show up into your business. And then it's just really a clear indicator of the importance of your growth path. Right? If you don't have these in place, it's really hard to see where you're going. And so when you have them in place, when you're making decisions for what your business is going to look like in 3 months, 6 months, a year, or 5 years, you can quickly decide if this is not the right fit. So one of the areas that this really has to come up with for me is speaking. Many of you guys can raise your hand in the, the little Zoom thing, raise your hand or put one in the chat, but you've been to an event that you thought was for personal development or growth or community, and it was like the biggest sales pitch, right? It was a huge sales pitch. Every person got up there was like, my package is normally $5,000, but for right now, run to the back of the room, the first 10, get it for this. And oh, you get the add-on CD and blah, 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 right? So I remember one of the very first times I was asked to speak in an event like that, and I had no idea. And I was like mortified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm at one of those things. And I've now just been like pigeonholed into all these other speaker categories, that when I think about the places I want to speak in my dream stages, I ask event coordinators, I ask speaking coordinators, are you allowed to sell from stage? That's a qualification question that I've come up with. And if they say yes, I say I'm not a right fit, because my goal is to inspire, to educate, to impact, and to serve. And I don't want to be on stages where people are there to monetize themselves and make it a business. And like, it's amazing then if people have sought me out to say, okay, well, is there a different one? Or will you do a breakout room? Or will you? Because I just know that. So being able to have those core values is less like, oh my gosh, I want to be booked to speak, but to say like, is this a good fit? Is this going to get me the referrals and the clients that I really want in the long run? And I will personally say the couple times I was on stages that you speak to sell, and I tried to do something like that, I never got anything out of it. And the times that I just poured my heart and soul out and really wanted to impact and just give everything I had, there was a waiting list of people to talk to me and hire me. So I just want you to realize like that clarity is so much more important than the get quick stuff that happens. So before we go into our last breakout room, I wanted to give you a few examples. And I think it's really fun to kind of see what the core values are of these really famous companies that we know. But Uber's core values, they actually call them cultural norms. Like if you go to their website, they don't even want to call them core values, but it's that we build globally, we live locally. We're customer obsessed. I love that one actually. So whether or not I agree with that from my recent Ubers, no, I'm just kidding, but their core value is to be obsessed with the customer. They celebrate differences. We do the right thing. We act like owners. So think about that as all their independent contractors, that they all have to kind of act like business owners. I was like, oh my gosh, you see that right away because they're all running their own businesses. And we make big, bold bets, which I don't entirely understand. It's probably that the company is risk taking to some extent, which Uber Eats was probably a big, bold move for them, right? To be like, okay, we drive people around. Can we also become a top delivery service? You know, it obviously worked for them. So Apple, some of theirs is accessibility, education, environment, inclusion and diversity, privacy, and supplier responsibility. So I thought that was really cool from a tech standpoint, you know, supplier responsibility, that they're really, really focused on the supply chain and that they're owning that. They're not going to, you know, put that on anybody else. Think about the accessibility. I mean, the iPhone, the iPad, how easy that interface is for so many people. So when you think about like the CEO of design for this company, that every decision he's making, every creation, all is coming down to like, how accessible is this for other people? Like that's how these core values come into place. So Netflix is communication, curiosity, courage, passion, selflessness, inclusion, integrity. One of the words that jumped out for me here specifically was that inclusion. Like there's some stuff on Netflix that's on no other of the streaming platforms that's quite controversial. But that's what set them apart. And that's what said like, hey, your opinion matters, your voice matters. Like some of the documentaries or, you know, some of the shows that are out there that the other streaming services don't have. So Google, focus on the user and all else will follow. It's best to do one thing really, really well. So if you think like, how am I ever going to search something? Google's known for that. I love that when it's not muddied. Like if you were to think about Google, that's their one thing that they've done really well. I mean, Google's become like a verb, right? That they didn't ever tap into all these spaces in tech. Like they don't have a dating site. They don't have where a lot of these other tech companies have ventured out, which is really cool. Learn and be curious, hire and develop the best, insist on the highest standards, think big, earn trust. Those are really good. And I really you can see the simplicity of it, but then the ripple effect. So I'm sorry, I read you guys the Amazon ones at the same time I looked down. So Google was that it's best to do one thing really, really well. Fast is better than slow. There's always more information out there. You can be serious without a suit. So think about what that probably is like in their office. You know, the people that go into the office every day, they probably have a relaxed like environment, even though they're still getting stuff done. And then Amazon was the learn and be curious, hire and develop the best, think big, you know, earn trust, dive deep. If we were to think about, you know, Jeff Bezos and that thinking big, I don't know if you've ever seen the graphic, but he's like in like a little room in his garage, or it looks like a closet, and he's like picturing Amazon, and like from that to now these massive Amazon warehouses and everything that's happening globally, like that ability to dream and that like if you can think it, you can achieve it mentality, I really love. And the last one is Nike, which is a team that's empowered, diverse, and inclusive. A world is our community, and a fair, sustainable future for every athlete. So obviously at the core values, and that probably wasn't a thing in the 80s and the 70s, they probably weren't talking about environmental sustainability, but with where we're at now and global warming, to say this has to be at the forefront and how we're producing, how we're shipping, what we're creating, that is an example of how it's changed. So I wanted you just to see from these big, huge companies, what they look like. And in the last few minutes, I'm going to put you back into the breakout room. And I want you guys to share with each other, number one, if you have any core values right now, like, you know, I've already done this. This is what's super important to my business or in my relationships. And if not, if the core values is new to you, what were some of the things that you heard? Or what was it that like, oh my gosh, I need to put this into place so that I can qualify my clients, or I can, you know, fire my coworker, or I can say no to things that don't really serve me. Like if you don't have them in place, what were some of the things that jumped out that you said, okay, I need to get this in place so that I have more growth and I have better decision making. So I'm going to put you guys back in the breakout groups. You guys, Courtney was in a room, she didn't have anybody. There was a little hiccup. And so I just said, well, talk to me, tell me yours. So you guys are all coming back as she was sharing. But wait, before we close for the day, anybody want to share any core values jump out, or what's important to you, or things that maybe you hadn't considered? Courtney, repeat yours again. Those are great.
Okay. So just in life, and then with my real estate clients, trust and earning trust, loyalty, time management, perseverance, never giving up, honesty, and growth.
Huge. Perseverance is like a big one for entrepreneurs. And I also love that loyalty. I mean, I'll say from a customer standpoint, I had the same hairdresser for almost 20 years. And the only reason I switched because she retired in the pandemic. Like, you know, and when you show up that way, and there's one of our courses about networking and building relationships, you'll see when you're loyal to people and the people you do business with, they will do the same with you. And I love that that's yours. Yes, Callie, please share yours.
Something that I realized that I think is really funny is that personal growth is such a huge part of my life, but I never considered that to be one of my core values or something that I could have as a core value. So I love that you said that earlier, Lauren, because it really, and Courtney, you too, saying with growth, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm now giving myself permission to allow that to be one of my core values. And it's okay that that's super important to me. And a lot of people, I feel like my age sort of look at that as weird. But that's okay. I'm going to just go with it. So I love that one. And that's definitely like one of my top core values.
Miranda wrote me privately. She's a 12 o'clock client, so she popped off. But I love that. And it's true. And those are things because it will how you coach other people, but then how you show up, right? Because you've got to show up for yourself before other people show up for you. So that was amazing. Any others want to jump out and share?
We talked about having boundaries and really trying to create that from the outset so that you can sort of attract your better clientele or what's the best fit for you. And then being again, along the lanes of loyalty and honesty and trustworthiness, because then that's the kind of human that you're going to attract to you and keep in your business, which is going to make you then happier.
I love that. For blues, back to the color code thing, boundaries are really important. blues can really start to do everything for everybody else and are not the best stereotypically at exercising the no muscle. So I actually love that you are highlighting that. So I will send out the recording and then I'll post it in UpCoach as well as your coaching log for week 1. If you want to submit them, please don't email them back to me just because they get lost in everything. But the drive, the same way that you put your like color code solution up there or the Enneagram results, just upload your coaching document. You can give it a title. You can say like, you know, Jen Young's week 1 document, or, you know, Callie Crone week 2 coaching log or something like that. You don't have to do it. So I realize that there's like some personal stuff that comes up or vulnerable and people don't want to do it. A lot of people do because they want the accountability. You know, it's like, hey, I'm doing this. If you post it, I will read them, right? Because I'm very curious and I want to be able to like do a like deep dive or, you know, circle back and say, hey, I saw your ask or I saw your struggle. Here's some thoughts on it. But if they don't get posted, like that's where I check to go. I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? So it's totally up to you. I don't want you to feel like you have to do that. No one will ever see them except for, you know, the people in this course or whatever that are also a part of that. But if they do get up there, I will make sure to circle back to you and give you some feedback and thoughts. Okay. So week 1's a wrap. I appreciate you guys. I wrote it in the email, but you can text me, you can call me, you can email me. Just don't Marco Polo me. Like people wanted to like voice memo me. I learned that one. I'm like, oh, that's never going to work. I only am even on there so that like my nieces and nephews can like send me little things. So any other way of communication, I want to be accessible. So if questions pop up between the weeks or something in your business, reach out to me. I don't want you to think that this is the hour and it's one and done. You guys have invested in your business and yourself, and I'm here. I'm in your back pocket. So lean on me as much as you can and have a great day. Stay warm out there. April,
Nice
you stay
meeting
cool
all
in
of you.
Texas.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.